My name is Emma and I thought I knew my son, but when I saw the pictures of their lavish Maldives vacation, a trip I fully funded but was excluded from, I realized it was time to teach a lesson they'd never forget. It all began last November when my 30-year-old son, Jacob, called with an idea that felt like a gift from the heavens. "Mom, I've got a plan," he said, his voice warm, the kind that always melted my maternal heart. "What if we do a big family vacation? All of us together. It's been ages since we've done that." I was sitting in my home office in Seattle, reviewing financial reports for my consulting firm. At 62, I was still running the successful business I'd built from the ground up after divorcing Jacob's father 20 years ago. Money was never an issue. On the contrary, I took pride in providing my children with everything they needed and more. "That sounds wonderful, honey," I replied, already picturing us all together. "What are you thinking?" "Well, something special, maybe exotic, like the Maldives. Imagine private overwater villas, endless beaches, crystal clear water. He's been dreaming about it for months." His wife of 5 years was a beautiful but icy 30-year-old influencer who always struck me as a bit shallow. But Jacob was happy, and that's what mattered. "The Maldives," I echoed, excitement stirring. "That does sound like a dream. Who else is going?" "Well, me and, obviously, then Michael, Sarah, and the kids." Michael, my younger son, was 28, married to Sarah with 2 kids, 7-year-old Sophie and 5-year-old, and of course you. "And your father?" I asked, though I knew the answer. "No, Mom, Dad said he can't afford a trip like that right now. You know how things are with his new marriage and all." My ex-husband, David, had 3 years ago to a woman 15 years his junior. They'd recently had a baby, and I knew his finances were stretched thin. "Got it," I said, "and how much will it cost?" Jacob paused. "Well, if we want to do it right, private villas, first-class flights, all-inclusive, maybe around $250,000. I know it's a lot, but it's worth it," I finished for him. "Jacobs, money's not an issue for me. If it'll make the whole family happy, if we can spend time together and make memories, I'd be thrilled to cover it." I could hear his voice light up with joy. "Seriously, Mom, you'd do that?" "Of course, honey, family's everything. And at my age, I know how precious time with loved ones is." "You're the best, Mom's gonna freak out. And the kids too. Imagine how happy Sophie and will be on the beach." The next few weeks were a whirlwind of planning. Jacob called regularly with updates. He'd found the perfect resort, booked the villas, arranged transfers. I wired money as needed, $50,000 for the villas, $30,000 for first-class flights, $20,000 for dining and entertainment, another $30,000 for excursions and spa treatments. "Mom, you've got to see these villas," he gushed during a December call. "Each one has its own beachfront private pool, butler. It's gonna be paradise." "Sounds incredible," I agreed. "I can already see us all on the terrace, watching the sunset, the kids playing in the water." "Yeah, it'll be unforgettable," he said, but something in his tone felt off, like he wasn't entirely sincere. I brushed it aside. I was too excited about the trip. By January plans, Jacob sent me a detailed itinerary. Depart Seattle on February 15, arrive in the Maldives on the 16th, 2 weeks in paradise, return March 2. "All booked and confirmed," he texted. "Can't wait." I couldn't either. I even started buying new clothes for the trip, flowy summer dresses, swimsuits, sun hats. At my age, I still felt young and vibrant, and the idea of 2 weeks on a tropical island with my family felt perfect. But a week before departure, something strange happened. I called Jacob to discuss final details, what medications to bring, whether I needed a visa, when to meet at the airport. "Mom," he said, his voice tense, "we need to talk." "Sure, honey, what's up?" "It's just Michael, Sarah, and I have been talking, and we think this trip might be too intense for you." I blinked, confused. "What do you mean?" "Well, long flight, time zone changes, all the excursions we've planned, snorkeling, jet skiing, island hikes. We're just worried it might be too much for someone your age." His words hit like a slap. "Jacob, I'm 62, not 92. I'm in great shape. I work out regularly, travel the world for work." "I know, Mom, but this is different. Tropical climate, high humidity, intense activities. We just think you'd be happier at home, in your comfort zone." Anger bubbled up, but I tried to stay calm. Jacob, if you're worried about my health, I can get a doctor's note, but I don't understand why you're bringing this up now, a week before the trip. Because we didn't want to upset you earlier. We hoped we could make the trip work for everyone, but... But what? But we only booked 4 villas. For me and Michael, Sarah, and the kids, and well, we thought you'd understand. The world stopped. You only booked 4 villas. Where's the 5th for me? Mom, listen. No, you listen, I exploded, unable to hold back. I paid for this trip every damn cent, $250,000, and now you're telling me I can't go because I'm too old. It's not like that, Mom. Then what is it? Silence stretched, then she thinks having parents on the trip will make it less fun, less spontaneous, you get it. And there it was, this wasn't my idea. It was, from the start, use me as an ATM, then cut me out of the trip I funded. So this was idea, I said, my voice ice cold. No, Mom, it was a group decision. Jacobs, you're lying to me, and you know what? If I'm not good enough for this trip, maybe my money isn't either. Mom, don't be so dramatic. Dramatic, you call this dramatic? I was shouting now, not caring who heard. I spent $250,000 on a vacation my own kids excluded me from. Look, we can figure something out. Maybe you can join us for a few days. No, I said quietly but firmly. You made your choice, now live with the consequences. I hung up, trembling with rage and hurt. On February 15, the day they left, I woke with a heavy heart. Part of me hoped Jacob would change his mind, call and say they made a mistake, that they wanted me there. But my phone stayed silent. I spent the morning distracting myself, answering work emails, cleaning the house, making a breakfast I couldn't eat. But my thoughts kept drifting to them. They're probably packing now, heading to the airport, checking in for the first-class flights I paid for. By noon, I couldn't take it anymore and opened Instagram. And there it was. Had posted a photo from the airport, everyone smiling, happy, standing by the departure board. Jacob and Michael and Sarah, little Sophie, and in bright summer clothes. The caption read, "Family adventure begins, Maldives magic." Family, a family I'd been cut out of. But that was just the start. Over the next few days, my phone became a torture device. Every social media notification was a knife to the heart. In a bikini on a private beach. Jacob toasting with champagne, living the dream with the best family ever. Sarah's video of the kids building, the kids are having the time of their lives, worth every penny. Each post was a slap. They weren't just enjoying the vacation I paid for, they were flaunting it to the world. Worse, they were doing it while ignoring the fact that the person who made it possible was sitting home alone. On day 3, I saw a photo that broke my heart completely. It was a family dinner at one of the resort's exclusive restaurants. They sat at a large round table on a terrace overlooking the ocean, candlelit, dressed to the nines. Jacob in a white shirt and a flowing dress, Michael and Sarah polished and happy, the kids in cute summer outfits. And on the table was an empty tall vase with a single white orchid, exactly where I would sat. His caption cut deep, perfect family dinner in paradise. Sometimes you just know when the vibe is exactly right. No drama, no stress, just pure happiness. Maldives moments. No drama, no stress, she meant without Mom. I read the comments, most gushing with admiration. You all look so happy. What a gorgeous family, dream vacation. But one comment stopped me cold. It was from my friend who knew the whole story. Where's the kids, Grandma? Sarah replied, oh, she couldn't make it. Too tough a trip for her age, you know, but we're thinking of her. Too tough for my age. They weren't even trying to hide the truth. But the most painful was Jacob's post on day 4, a video from their dolphin excursion, the family on a boat, laughing and pointing at dolphins leaping beside them. Jacobs, this is one of those moments you'll remember forever. Being here with the most important people in my life, nothing beats this. The most important people in his life. And I, the woman who gave him life, raised him, supported him through every high and low, who paid for every second of this unforgettable moment, wasn't on that list. That evening, I sat in my garden with a glass of wine, staring at the stars, trying to understand how it came to this. Where did I go wrong? How could my kids become so heartless? Then it hit me, this didn't happen overnight. For years had subtly pushed Jacob away from me. Little comments about me being too involved, suggestions to spend holidays with her parents instead, hints that I was too demanding, too dramatic, too much. And Jacob, always my mama's boy, had slowly changed, grown colder, more distant. I thought it was just part of growing up, building his own family, but now I saw it, a strategy. I'd been systematically edged out of their lives, used as an ATM while being made to feel less than family. And now they'd gone too far. On the 5th day of their trip, I woke with crystal clarity. The pain had turned to anger, the anger to resolve. If they wanted to play games, I'd show them how the pros do it. I picked up my phone and called Robert Harrison, my lawyer of 15 years. Robert specialized in family law and financial disputes and had proven his worth protecting my interests time and again. Emma, he answered on the first ring. How's it going? Robert, I need your help, and I need it done fast and clean. I'm listening. I laid out the story, from the initial planning to their betrayal to the social media posts. Robert listened quietly, asking clarifying questions. So that's the deal, I finished. I wired money to Jacob and Michael's accounts for this trip. I have all the receipts, all the transfers, all the confirmations. Legally speaking, that money was given for a specific purpose, a family vacation I was supposed to be part of. And you're not part of it, Robert said slowly. Exactly, they took my money under false pretenses. That's fraud. Emma, you realize we're talking about your kids here. Robert, that's exactly why I need to teach them a lesson they'll never forget. Otherwise, they'll keep thinking they can use me. A long pause, then, what exactly do you want me to do? I want to freeze all their accounts, credit cards, debit cards, everything, and I want it done today while they're still in the Maldives. Emma. Robert, I have every legal ground. They received money under false pretenses. I have records of our conversations where Jacob confirms this was a family trip with me included. I have bank transfers showing I funded the whole thing, and I have their social media posts proving they deliberately excluded me. Another pause, this is gonna be brutal. They left me no choice. All right, I'll need a few hours to prepare the paperwork and file with the court. You sure about this? I glanced at my phone where latest post was open, a photo of cocktails by the pool with the caption, "Living my best life, no worries paradise." Yes, I said firmly, I'm absolutely sure. Robert worked fast. By 3 p.m., he'd secured a temporary court order based on suspected financial fraud. By 4 p.m., Jacob and Michael's bank accounts were frozen. Done, Robert said over the phone. All their cards, all their accounts locked until the court hearing. What about their return home? I asked. If they don't have cash or other funding sources, they're in trouble. Tickets are already paid for, but they'll need money for transfers, food, tips, all the extras. A pang of guilt hit me, but I pushed it down. They made their choice. How long will the freeze last? I asked. At least until the hearing in 10 days, but if you want, we can drag this out for months. I considered it. Months would be too cruel. I didn't want to ruin their lives, just teach a lesson. 10 days is enough, I said. Emma, you know they'll find out soon. I'm counting on it. The first call came at 6:47 p.m. Pacific time, meaning it was morning in the Maldives. Jacob. I let the phone ring, savoring each chime. Then a text, Mom, my card isn't working. Can you check with the bank? Another, Mom, this is urgent. Then, all OUR cards aren't working. Finally, what did you do? I calmly put my phone on silent and poured another glass of wine. The next few hours were golden. My phone blew up with messages and missed calls, not just from Jacob, but from Michael, Sarah, even. Michael, Mom, please pick up. We're at a restaurant and can't pay for dinner. Sarah, Emma, I don't know what's going on, but the kids are scared. Please help us sort this out. Emma, this is insane. You can't leave us stranded with no money. This is illegal. But the best was Jacob's voicemail, left around midnight their time. Mom, I don't know what to say. We're stuck here, literally stuck. We managed to borrow money from other hotel guests for dinner, but tomorrow we need to pay for the villas, breakfast, everything. And our tickets home, I don't know if we can even get to the airport without cab fare. Mom, please, if this is about what we said about the trip, we can talk about it when we get home. But please don't leave us here, please. For the first time in years, I heard not condescension but desperation in his voice. But I wasn't ready to forgive. Day 2 of the freeze brought more drama. Now they weren't just unable to spend, they were in real trouble. Posted an Instagram update, a stark contrast to her earlier ones, a photo of their villa with the caption, "When paradise turns into a nightmare." Comments asked what happened and she replied vaguely, "Family drama, long story." But the real chaos came when Michael tried using his company's corporate credit card to cover hotel bills. The card went through, but when his boss learned he'd used work funds for a personal vacation, Michael was promptly suspended. Sarah sent a desperate message. "Emma, Michael lost his job over this. We have 2 kids. Please think about what you're doing." I felt a twinge of guilt about Michael. He'd always been the softer of my sons, and I knew Jacob drove most decisions. But Michael was a grown man who'd chosen to go along with excluding me. On day 3, something I hadn't foreseen happened. Jacob tried selling his expensive watch to another hotel guest for cash. The buyer, a German police officer, suspected the watch might be stolen given Jacob's desperate behavior. The officer reported it to hotel security, and Jacob was called in for questioning. He had to explain the whole situation, how his mother froze their accounts, how they were stranded without funds, how he was trying to pay the hotel. The story spread like wildfire among the resort staff. A 5-star Maldives resort, where a night in a villa costs $1,000, wasn't used to guests who couldn't pay. The hotel manager, a polished middle-aged man named, met with Jacob and in their villa. "Mister," he said politely but firmly, "we need to discuss your situation. Our records show payment for your stay is due tomorrow, and we haven't received confirmation." Tried her charm, "It's just a bank mix-up. It'll be sorted soon." "I understand, Mrs., but we have policies. If payment isn't received within 24 hours, we'll need you to vacate the premium villas and move to standard rooms until the situation is resolved." Jacob paled, "But we have kids." "I understand, sir. That's why we're offering standard rooms instead of asking you to leave the resort immediately." After the manager lost it. I know because Jacob left another voicemail, her screams audible in the background. "This is all your damn mother's fault," she yelled. "I told you she's a psychopath. Normal people don't do this to their kids." "Calm down," Jacob tried. "Don't tell me to calm down. We're here because of you and your family. I could be in the Bahamas with MYPARENTS, but no, I chose this damn trip." Interesting, so had alternatives to this vacation. That explained a lot. But the real twist came on day 4. Sophie, Michael, and Sarah's 7-year-old got sick. Nothing serious, a stomach bug from exotic food, but she needed a doctor. Their insurance covered treatment, but the clinic required upfront payment with reimbursement later, and they had no cash. Sarah sent me a photo of a tearful Sophie at the resort's medical center with a message. "Emma, I'm begging you. This is your granddaughter. She needs help and we can't pay the doctor. Please put aside your fight with the boys. Think of the kids." For the first time, my resolve wavered. I stared at the photo of little Sophie, so small and scared, and felt my heart break. She wasn't to blame for the adults' actions. I called Robert. "Robert, I need to make an exception. Medical expenses for my granddaughter." "Emma, if we start making exceptions." "It's not for them. It's for a 7-year-old who needs medical care." "All right, I can unfreeze one card for up to $5,000, strictly for medical expenses." "Do it." I texted Sarah, "Michael's card is unfrozen for $5,000 only for medical expenses. Take care of Sophie." Her reply came 10 minutes later. "Thank you. Whatever's going on between you all, thank you for caring about your granddaughter." But the rest of the group got no relief. On day 5, an incident pushed the resort's patience to the limit. Tried sneaking cash from an ATM using an old card's PIN. The transaction was declined, but she tried multiple times, triggering the bank's security system. The resort received a fraud alert tied to their guests. Visited their villa again, this time with a security officer. "Mr. and Mrs.," he said, colder than before, "we've been of attempted fraudulent card activity. We must ask you to vacate the premium villas immediately." "It's a misunderstanding," cried. "Perhaps, but our policy is clear. You have 2 hours to pack and move to standard rooms." I learned this from Instagram story, a blurry photo of their luggage in the hotel hallway with the text, "This is what betrayal looks like. Family can hurt you more than strangers ever could." Family can hurt more than strangers. The irony was delicious. On day 6, I got a call, not from my sons, but from David, my ex-husband. "Emma," he said without preamble, "what the hell are you doing?" "Hey, David, how's life with your young wife?" "Don't start." Jacob called me in a panic, said you froze their accounts and they're stranded in the Maldives. Jacob told you the truth. "Emma, this is crazy. They're your kids." "That's exactly why it hurts so much, David." I told him the whole story, how they used me to fund the trip, then excluded me for being too old. David was silent for a long time. Then, "God, Emma, I had no idea." "Of course you didn't. No one tells you anything important." "Look, I get why you're mad, but leaving them stranded in another country." "David, if it bothers you so much, send them money yourself." "Oh, wait, you told Jacob you couldn't afford this trip." Another long silence. "Emma, how long is this gonna last?" "As long as it takes for them to learn their lesson." "And if they do?" "Then they're not as smart as I thought." On day 7, something unexpected happened. Posted a long Facebook rant, framing herself as the victim and me as the vindictive mother-in-law retaliating for not being invited to the family trip. She wrote about being stranded in paradise with no money, moved from luxury villas to basic rooms, living on bread and water because Jacob's psychotic mother froze their accounts. The post got hundreds of comments, most supporting without knowing the full story. "This is so awful. How could anyone do this to their own kids? Call the U.S. consulate." But there were others, from people who knew me better. Wrote, "Why was Emma included in this family trip she paid for?" Reply, "She decided not to come at the last minute due to health issues." Shot back, "That's a lie and you know it." A comment war erupted. Friends and acquaintances split into camps, those who knew the truth and backed me, and those who bot's version. But what infuriated me most wasn't her post, it was Jacob's comment under it. "Thanks everyone for the support. We're trying to handle this as best we can. Sadly, some people change with age and aren't who they used to be. We love my mom, but she's clearly going through a tough time." A tough time. They were painting me as an old woman with dementia or a mental breakdown. That was the final straw. I posted my own Facebook update. "Dear friends, you may have seen my daughter-in-law's posts about their awful situation in the Maldives. Let me tell you the real story. Last November, my son Jacob asked me to fund a family vacation to the Maldives costing $250,000. I happily agreed, thinking we'd all spend time together. A week before the trip, Jacob told me I was too old for such an active vacation and that felt parents would make it less fun. My $250,000 was good enough for their trip, but I froze their accounts not out of spite, but principle. If I'm not good enough for a family vacation, neither is my money. Attached are screenshots of bank transfers and messages proving my words. I included the evidence, transfer records, texts from Jacob confirming my inclusion, and their social media posts gloating about their perfect family time without me. The response was instant. Deleted her post within an hour. Jacob sent a flurry of desperate texts. Mom, why did you do this? Now everyone knows our family business. Please take the post down. We can settle this privately. But it was too late. Screenshots of my post were spreading online. On day 8, something I never expected happened. A journalist from the Seattle Tribune called. Mrs., I'm Jessica. We'd like to interview you about your situation. Interview. Your story gone viral on social media. People are discussing family conflicts, boundaries with adult children, financial exploitation of older parents. It's a hot topic. I agreed. The article came out the next day. Mother leaves kids penniless in Maldives after they excluded her from vacation she funded. It was fair and balanced, presenting both sides, but the facts spoke for themselves. The story hit national news. I was invited to CNN's morning show, where I shared my side calmly and with dignity. The host asked Emma, some say you went too far. What do you say to them? I'd say boundaries matter in any relationship, including family. My kids thought they could use me as an ATM while disrespecting me as a person. Sometimes love means saying no. What about them being stranded in another country? They're adults. They chose to exclude me from a trip I funded. Now they're learning to live with the consequences of their choices. The interview reached millions. Suddenly, I became a symbol for parents refusing to let adult children exploit them. I received hundreds of supportive emails from people in similar situations. Thank you for showing older adults don't have to tolerate disrespect. My daughter used me for money for years but never invited me to family events. Your story gave me the strength to say no. You're a hero for parents tired of being ATMs for ungrateful kids. But there were critics too. How could you do this to your own kids? Family's more important than money. You destroyed your family over pride. To each, I responded with empathy but firmness. Family is more important than money. That's why it hurts so much when family treats you only as a money source. On day 9, the day before the court hearing to decide the account's fate, Jacob called. But this wasn't the angry or desperate Jacob of before. His voice was broken. Moms, he said quietly, can we talk? I'm listening. I want to apologize, truly apologize. I stayed silent, letting him continue. These 9 days have been hell, but not because of the money, not because of the hotel or flights or anything. Hell was realizing who I've become. His voice trembled. Mom, I saw you on CNN yesterday. I saw you sitting there, calm and dignified, explaining to the reporter. And you know what I thought? I thought, God, my mom is a strong, successful, brilliant woman, and I've been treating her like an ATM. My throat tightened. I thought about how you raised us after the divorce, how you worked around the clock to build your business and provide for us, how you were always there when I needed you, how you supported me when I married, even when I knew you didn't quite like her. Jacob. No, Mom, let me finish. I need to say this. He took a deep breath. You're right, didn't want you to come. She said it'd be less fun, less Instagrammable with you there. She wanted perfect photos without older people ruining the aesthetic. Hearing it out loud hurt, but I was grateful for his honesty. And God, Mom, I'm so ashamed, I went along with it. I told myself you might actually be tired from the long flight, that the tropical climate could be hard on you. But the truth is, it was easier to agree with than to stand up for you. Tears streamed down my face. I betrayed you, Mom, the woman who gave me life, raised me, supported me through everything. I betrayed you for Instagram photos and convenience. Jacob. And when you froze our accounts, you know what I did. I got mad. I thought, how dare she? It took me days to realize the question should have been, how dare I? He paused for a few seconds. Mom, these 9 days showed me who I am without your support, and I don't like what I saw. I saw a man who takes money from his mother but doesn't give her respect, a man who lets his wife dictate family relationships, a man who's ashamed of his own mother. You shouldn't be ashamed of me, I whispered. But I should be proud of you, he exclaimed. And I am, Mom. You built an empire from nothing. You raised 2 boys alone. You travel the world, run a company, have more energy than most 30-year-olds. And I called you too old for a vacation. We were both crying now. Jacob, I don't want to ruin your marriage. Mom, if my marriage can only exist by disrespecting you, it's not worth saving. It was the most mature thing I'd heard from him in years. What do you want to do? I asked. I want to come home and start over. I want to apologize to you in person. I want to apologize too, and if she won't, we need to have a serious talk about our marriage. What about Michael's? Michael's already realized his mistake. He's calling you as soon as we're done. Sarah wants to apologize too. They both know they went along with a decision they didn't agree with. I sighed deeply. Jacob, I'll unfreeze your accounts tonight, but on one condition. Anything. When you get home, we all sit down and talk, cards on the table, about boundaries, respect, and what it means to be family. Deal. And one more thing. Whatever you say, Mom. Next time you want a family vacation without me, just be honest. Don't take my money under false pretenses. I'm a grown woman, I can handle it. Mom, the next family vacation won't happen without you, I promise. After Jacob, Michael called. He apologized too, explaining he'd always relied on his older brother for decisions, but realized that was no excuse for going along with my exclusion. Mom, I'm a grown man with a family. I should said no from the start. Sarah was against going without you, but I told her Jacob knew what he was doing. Michael, you didn't lose your job because of me. You lost it because of your own bad choice to use a corporate card. I know, and you know what? Maybe it's for the best. I didn't even like that job. Even Sarah called to apologize and thank me for unfreezing funds for Sophie's treatment. Emma, I want you to know, I never agreed with the plan to exclude you, but I didn't want to cause family drama. Sarah, sometimes drama is necessary to fix things. You're right, next time I'll be braver about standing up for what's right. The only one who didn't call was. That evening, I called Robert and told him to unfreeze the accounts. The court hearing was canceled. 3 days later, they were home. Jacob came to my house that same day. He looked tanned but weary. There was something new in his eyes, humility. Mom, he said, hugging me, I'm so sorry. We sat in my living room, where so many family talks had happened over the years. Tell me about, I said bluntly. He sighed, she's mad, really mad, says you humiliated her in front of the world. And what do you think? I think she humiliated herself, but she doesn't see it. Jacob, I don't want to cause trouble in your marriage, but I also won't let anyone, including your wife, disrespect me. I get it, and I told if she wants to stay part of this family, she needs to learn to respect you. What'd she say? Nothing yet, she's still processing. Over the next few weeks, our relationship slowly healed. Jacob called more often, not just when he needed something. Michael found a new job, better pay, more flexible hours. Sarah sent photos of the kids regularly. But stayed cold. The breakthrough came a month after their return. Showed up at my house alone. It was unexpected. She usually only came with Jacob and only for special occasions. Emma, she said, standing in my entryway, I need to talk to you. We sat at the kitchen table, looked nervous, a rare crack in her usual confidence. I want to apologize, she began. I raised an eyebrow, surprised. Not for what you think, she added quickly. I still think you went too far with the account freeze, but I get why you did it. Go on. The thing is, I grew up in a family where my parents paid for everything and never asked for anything in return. Not respect, not gratitude, not even time. They just handed over money and vanished. It was a revelation. I knew parents were wealthy but hadn't known the dynamics. So when you offered to pay for the trip, I automatically thought it was normal. Rich parents pay, kids get what they want. But I'm not like that, I said softly. No, and it took me a while to see that. She paused, gathering her thoughts. Emma, I was selfish. I wanted a perfect trip with perfect photos, and in my picture there wasn't room for my husband's mother. For an older woman who'd ruin your aesthetic. She flushed, yeah, and I'm ashamed of that. I'm not 25, that's true, but that doesn't mean I'm invisible or that my feelings don't matter. I get that now. Those 9 days in the Maldives, everyone kept asking where you were. Hotel staff, other guests, even the kids. Sophie kept saying, where, Grandma Emma, why isn't she here? My heart ached thinking of Sophie looking for me. And what do you tell her? At first I said you were sick, but then I saw how it affected everyone. The kids missed you, Sarah and Michael felt guilty, even Jacob was off, and I realized my perfect trip without you was actually empty, soulless. I studied her, processing her words. Always so self-assured and polished, looked vulnerable. Her usual flawless makeup was slightly smudged, her eyes red from recent tears. I said gently, I appreciate your honesty, but apologies aren't just words, they're changes in behavior. Are you ready to change how you treat me? She nodded, yes, I'm willing to try. Jacob told me if I don't change, our marriage is at risk, but it's not just that. I don't want to be the woman who tears a family apart. I want to be part of it for real. We talked for another hour, shared about her childhood, parents too busy with careers to give her attention, compensating with expensive gifts. I got used to love being measured in dollars, she admitted. But with you, you showed me love is about respect, time, and honesty. By the end, we hugged awkwardly but sincerely. Let's start fresh, I suggested, maybe with a family dinner next time everyone's together. I'd like that, she said. And thank you, Emma, for the lesson. It was harsh but necessary. After she left, I felt relief. Not full healing, the wounds were too deep, but a start. Family isn't perfect Instagram pictures, it's working through the mess, even when it hurts. Over the next months, changes became clear. Jacob called just to chat. Michael invited me to Sophie's school play, where I sat front row, cheering for my granddaughter. Sarah sent recipes and asked for parenting advice. Even made an effort. She deleted her Maldives posts and shared a new one, a photo of us over coffee, captioned learning to value real family. The real test came with the next family vacation, 6 months after the Maldives. Jacob suggested Costa, but only if everyone's on board, he said. And Mom, you're at the center of it. I hesitated, the Maldives still stung. But then I thought, if I don't give a second chance, what was the point of the lesson? All right, I agreed. But this time we split the cost. Everyone pays their share. That was my condition. No more ATM. Each adult contributed $5,000, a stretch but doable. The kids, of course, were my gift. Planning was collaborative. We had Zoom calls, me in Seattle, Michael and Sarah in their suburban home, Jacob and in their apartment. We discussed routes, activities, lodging. Even suggested a grandma day with spa time and beach walks. Sounds lovely, I said, but let's make sure everyone feels included, no exclusions. The flight to Costa was tiring but exhilarating. We flew economy, my choice, to remind everyone of the value of simplicity. Landing in sand, the humid tropical air wrapped around us like a friend. We rented a minivan and drove to our coastal bungalow, simple but cozy with an ocean view. No private villas or butlers, just us, nature, and time together. The first day we hit the beach. Sophie and Bilt squealing as waves crept closer. I sat under an umbrella, watching Michael and Sarah play with the kids, Jacob, and strolling hand in hand along the water's edge. Grandma, look, Sophie ran up holding a seashell. It's for you. I took the warm shell. Thank you, sweetheart. It's the prettiest shell in the world. That evening we cooked dinner together, fresh seafood from the local market. Jacob grilled fish, chopped vegetables, Sarah made a salad. I watched them laugh at Michael's jokes, warmth spreading in my chest. This was family, not perfect, but real. But it wasn't all smooth. On day 3, a conflict arose. Wanted to do an adventure in the jungle. It'll be epic for photos, she exclaimed. I felt a pang, photos again, but Jacob gently said, it might not be comfortable for Mom. Let's find something for everyone. I can try, I said, surprising myself. At my age, I'm not too old for adventure. We went to the jungle, the instructor strapped us to cables, and we soared over treetops. Wind whipped my ears, adrenaline surged. I screamed with fear and delight as green leaves and bright birds flashed below. When we landed, hugged me. Emma, you were amazing. I didn't expect you to outdo me. Never underestimate a grandma, I laughed. That moment shifted things, started seeing me not as the old mother-in-law, but as a vibrant woman. Evenings by the campfire, she opened up about her fears of motherhood. She and Jacob were planning a baby, and I shared advice from experience. One night, after everyone else went to bed, Jacob stayed with me on the terrace. Stars glittered over the ocean, waves whispering secrets. Mom, he said softly, thank you for giving us a second chance. I know it wasn't easy. Jacob, life's too short for grudges, but remember the lesson, respect is everything. I do, every day. Back home, something had shifted for good. The family was closer, but with boundaries. I kept running my company, but delegated more to spend time with my grandkids. Sophie and came over on weekends. We baked cookies, read books, walked in the park. Gave birth a year later to a boy, Alex, named after my father. In the hospital, as she handed me my grandson, her eyes were teary. Emma, thank you for being part of our lives. I held the tiny bundle, feeling the circle complete. Thank you for letting me be. But the story wouldn't be complete without one last lesson. 2 years after the Maldives, I planned another trip to Italy. We visited Rome, Florence, Venice. I covered part, but insisted everyone contribute, not just money, but ideas. In Rome, by the Colosseum, Jacob said, Mom, this is better than the Maldives, because we're all together. Exactly, I said. Family isn't a place, it's the people. Looking back, the Maldives wasn't an end, but a beginning. It broke old patterns and built new ones. I'm no longer an ATM, but a valued family member. My kids grew not just in age, but in maturity. Do I regret freezing their accounts? No, sometimes to save a family, you have to shatter its illusions first. It's been 5 years since I hit that freeze button. At 67, I feel younger than I did at 62. My company's thriving, I've expanded, hearing young talent, including Michael, now my marketing right-hand man. Jacob and have 2 kids, Alex and little Emma, named for me, quit influencing and started a blog on family dynamics, sharing our reconciliation story. Sometimes the best content is real life, she says. Sophie's 12, now 10. They call me Cool Grandma and brag about my business and travel stories to their friends. We started a tradition, an annual family vacation planned by a different person each year. Last year, Sophie chose Disneyland so we can all be kids, she said. But the most memorable was last year's Alaska cruise. We watched whales, hiked glaciers. One night under the northern lights, we gathered on deck. To family, Jacob toasted. To lessons, added. To grandma, the kids chorused. I smiled, watching the lights dance in the sky. Life's not a straight line, it's a series of turns. Sometimes the most painful turn leads to the most beautiful view. If you ask me now, do I know my son? Yes, and he knows me, that's the heart of it. But to round out the story, let's revisit moments I didn't share earlier. Every life has subtexts, hidden scenes that shape us. That November, after Jacob's call, I didn't sleep. I sat in my office, staring at family photos on my desk, Jacob at graduation, Michael at his first job, the grandkids at Christmas. Family is everything, I thought, but deep down, I sensed a catch, was always the wild card. Her parents wealthy but distant. I met them at the wedding, her father a CEO, her mother a socialite. They gifted the couple a house but didn't bother getting to know me. We don't meddle, her mother said. Now I see where got the idea that money replaces relationships. And Michael always the follower. As kids, Jacob led, Michael trailed. After the divorce, I tried instilling independence but clearly didn't fully succeed. Michael married Sarah, kind but conflict-averse. I didn't want to fight with, she later admitted. But Sarah's changed. She took leadership courses and started a small handmade jewelry business. As for David, my ex, after that call, he reached out more. Emma, you opened my eyes, he said once. I was guilty of not being involved with the boys too. Now he sees the grandkids often, and we even have occasional family dinners, no drama, just adults. My friend, the one who commented on the posts, was my rock during the crisis. Emma, you're right, she'd say. Don't let them walk over you. Now we traveled together recently to Japan, where I ate sushi in Tokyo and meditated in Kyoto. See, you're not too old for adventure, she laughed. Let's dive deeper into those 9 Maldives days. I didn't tell you everything. After the freeze, Jacob tried contacting friends for help. One sent $1,000 via Western Union, but it only covered food and basics. Tried monetizing her Instagram with sponsored posts from Paradise, but brands backed off amid the scandal. Michael, after losing his job, spent a night reflecting. I sat on the balcony, staring at the ocean, thinking, how did I get here? He later told me. It was a catalyst. He's now pursuing an MBA to build his own career. Poor Sophie, after her illness, kept asking, Grandma, why didn't you come? When they returned, I told her simply, sometimes grown-ups argue, but then they make up. Now she's my little defender. Went to therapy post-reconciliation. I realized my issues with my parents were projected onto you, she said. Now she helps other women in similar situations through her blog. And me, I wrote a book, From ATM to Grandma, Teaching Love Through Tough Lessons. It's a bestseller in self-help. Readers write, your story changed my relationship with my kids. It's August 2025 now. We're planning our next trip, New Zealand, for the kids, wine tour for the adults. Mom, you leading the hike? Jacob asked. You bet, I said. I'm still in shape. Life goes on, and it's better than ever. To flesh out the picture, let's add more daily life post-Maldives. In the first months, I set family rules. Sunday dinners at my house, no phones, just talk. It was awkward at first, fidgeted. Michael was quiet, but we opened up, sharing childhood stories, future plans. One night brought a photo album. These are my parents, she said. They were never close. We talked about generational trauma. Let's break the cycle, I suggested. The kids changed too. Sophie started drawing her first piece, our family on a beach, me in the center. So no one's left out, she explained. Michael didn't join my company right away. He worked as a delivery driver first to taste independence. Moms, you were right, you earn money, he said. Jacob and went to couples therapy. We almost divorced, he admitted, but we realized we love each other and you. Now in 2025, the world's shifted. The pandemic's behind us, but its lessons linger. I'm investing in crypto, yes, at my age, and teaching the grandkids financial literacy. Never rely on someone else's money, I tell them. David, he divorced his second wife. Too much drama, he said. Now he's single, happy. We even had dinner as friends. Emma, you were always the strong one, he noted. My company's grown. We consult on family businesses, stressing respect. From my experience, I tell clients. But the real change is inner peace. I meditate every morning, walk my dog, a golden retriever named Paradise. Life about balance. Would I change anything if I could go back to that November? No, no pain, no growths. Emma's story, my story continues. With every day, every talk, every hug, family's not perfect, but it's ours. That's what matters. For more depth, let's revisit Costa, that I hung over the abyss, heart pounding but felt alive. Emma, you're a superhero, Sarah shouted from below. By the campfire, shared, I was scared of motherhood because I didn't know how to love unconditionally. I took her hand. Love is learned every day. In Florence, at Michelangelo's David, I said, look at that strength. That's us carved from trials. In Venice, the kids squealed in the gondola. Grandma, kiss us, they begged. In Rome, the Colosseum reminded us of battles. We won ours, Jacob whispered. Now with New Zealand on the horizon, I'm packing books, camera, hiking boots. Ready for adventure, I think. Life's a story we write, and mine has a happy ending. But to stretch it further, let's add flashbacks. The divorce with David, I was 42, the boys 10 and 8. How will I manage, I wondered. But I did, studied nights, built my business by day. For them, I told myself. Jacob in college, Mom, I need money for a car. I gave half, said, earn the rest. He did and was proud. Michael at his wedding, Mom, thanks for everything. But then he drifted under Jacob's sway. At our first meeting, hi Emma, you look nice. Even then, a hint. But now things are different. We grow together. In my book, I detailed those 9 days. Day 1, shock, scrambling to pay for dinner. Day 2, borrowing from guests. Day 3, the fiasco. Day 4, Sophie's illness. Day 5, moved to standard rooms. Day 6, David's call. Day 7's post. Day 8, my article. Day 9, apologies. Each day, a lesson. Now in 2025, I speak at conferences on family boundaries. Don't be afraid to say no, I advise. Readers write, "You saved my family. I stopped giving my kids money, they're closer now." That's my legacy. And the next trip, New Zealand, in the kids in hobbit costumes. Grandma, they laugh. By the campfire, what's next? Jacob asks. Anything, I say, as long as we're together. What did you think of this story? Share your thoughts in the comments below and let me know where you're reading from. Don't forget to subscribe for more compelling stories. Until next time.